All right, we are live. Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the slight delay. Technical glitches can always happen. I hope all of you are keeping well because the weather is changing quite drastically all over the country. And thank you for joining us here on this session. We have a very special guest today. I am going to introduce her in just a second. Till that time, let me just share the link of the video on the social media as well. Ritisha, can you see the video? And can you share the link on the various social media?
Yes, I'll do that.
All right. Okay. So today we have amongst us Pallabi Ghosh. She is an amazing person who has taken up one of the biggest challenges that the world has faced. She has stood up in the face of diversity to actually help out victims of victims of human trafficking. She regularly works on anti-trafficking campaigns and drives. She talks about it a lot. She's on multiple media features as well, podcasts, articles, you name it. And most recently, she was awarded by the National Human Rights Commission and Crime Control Bureau. And she recently became a celebrity in Bengal when she appeared on Saurabh Ganguly's Dadagiri show, and she actually won the show. Right, Pallavi? I don't understand a lot of Bengali, so I'm not able to decipher exactly what the show was about. So, but welcome, and Pallavi and I, we have known each other since 2020, since the pandemic lockdown happened, and we were on a platform together on YouTube Live called Approaching the New Normal in Education. We discussed quite a few things over there, and then she was also a guest on Such Conversations Matter. Welcome, Pallavi. Welcome to Open Source Mentorship.
Thank you, Saurabh, for calling me. By the way, Saurabh is also doing a great job dealing with students and talking to students, counseling them, and he does a lot of other things also. But as far as students is concerned, I think he's doing something very good because a lot of my work also includes talking to students. So yeah, thank you, Saurabh, for calling me. Tomorrow is Human Rights Day, so thank you for calling me.
Excellent. Which brings us to the important part, why we are doing this session today. It's actually quite fortuitous that we were able to do it, today because tomorrow is Human Rights Day. And Pallavi and I, we have been trying to get together on this platform for a few months now, but somehow or the other, her schedule is, very packed. And we could not match, but then that is what the universe plans, right? Great, Pallavi. Now, let me just quickly tell you how we're going to do this. We are going to now write everything that you tell us so that it comes out as a blueprint for any young student who wants to attack this huge, humongous problem using technology to improve the scenario a little bit, to create a small dent in the big challenges that we face. Let me just quickly share my screen. And by that time, you can start telling us, Pallavi, actually what you feel is the current status of human rights in a developing country like India.
So if I be honest, India is a country, if you compare India with other countries, then definitely India is in a better position because the day-to-day work that we do, where a lot of our human rights can be violated, is not violated in India. But in other countries, we see it in a much more worse situation. But the main problem is that when you talk about human rights, I still remember the kind of people I work with. There is so much of discrimination. There is so much of this patriarchy that is involved, the social conditioning. I still remember because tomorrow is Human Rights Day. I'll tell you that we talk about so much of human rights. The Constitution of India by Baba Saheb Ambedkar that says that people of all caste, creed, language, sex, religion will not be discriminated. But to be honest, it's not in reality. because we cannot judge a country by seeing the upper class or the elite population or the bourgeoisie class. We need to see like the villages. Now, why am I talking about the villages? Is because there is so much of I won't say discrimination. Also, there is this mentality of ruling in the villages. Now, I'll tell you a very small instance. What happens in some of the villages where I work, the upper caste doesn't allow the lower caste to take water from their wells or to even enter the temples. But what they do, they try to sexually exploit the women of the population who comes from the lower class. So you can see how deep rooted this mindset of women being the honor of a family or a man goes with tarnishing the image of the women or the honor of the women. If you look at any war also, if you look at any floods also, anything, any natural calamities, anything that destroys the country, migration also, for example. Now because tomorrow is Human Rights Day and it's very closely associated with human trafficking as a crime, I would also say that we try to rob people of their innocence, of their what you call the more when you see a person who is vulnerable, we try to exploit, and there is this constant mindset of exploiting an other person, trying to I would say affect but vulnerable population. I have worked across India, across Northeast and East India, and I have seen how vegetables, it is a very minor thing, but vegetables which we buy in Delhi, Bombay or Bangalore for 50 rupees, one vegetable, I'm talking to you about capsicum, for a change, you will see that same capsicum, 5 capsicum or 6 capsicum being sold for 10 Indian rupees. Whereas you will see 1 capsicum being sold for 60 rupees in Delhi, Bombay. So I want to understand, and I've been trying to understand, why so much of exploitation? What goes behind those exploitation? They are the people who produce it. They are the people who are behind, whatever, whether you talk about garments, whether you talk about crops, whether you talk about anything, the person who is producing it, the person who is actually behind, getting for us in the table, they are not being compensated. They are getting 5 rupees, 6 rupees. Whereas if you go to the market, there are people earning like thousands or lakhs or crores out of it. I think that is where we need to question ourselves, that are we actually, is there equality amongst us? Are we actually talking about human rights? Do we really think that human rights is something that's being protected, or it is just in pen and paper?
Okay. Yeah, that's a very important question. So you think that India has kind of advanced a little bit in as far as human rights are concerned, but currently we are going to be challenging, or we are at a place where we need to challenge the wealth inequality or the equal opportunities present for all citizens, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Pallabi, I wanted to go a little deeper into human trafficking also, because I know it's such a big thing, and there's nobody better than you to kind of explain and maybe summarize it a little bit as to what are the challenges behind human trafficking. Why does it happen?
See, the biggest problem that our country faces is that we as a country, there is a huge population that comes under the BPL category, below poverty line. And India is a land of farmers, like especially people, those who are into agriculture. There is only a limited population that is into this whole thing of, working class, like working in MNCs, engineers, doctors. So what happens is that people, those who come under agriculture, I'm not talking about everybody, but a specific population, like you can say tea garden workers, tribal people, those who are into, plowing, those who are into working in paddy fields, everybody who is dependent on nature a lot for whatever, for agriculture, for their livelihood. They are the worst affected when it comes to human trafficking. Because in human trafficking, we always talk that, poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, natural disasters, migrations, so this caste discrimination, tradition, all of these are reasons for human trafficking. But a lot of people do not talk that vulnerability is the biggest reason for a lot of people to be a prey to human traffickers. Now, the reason that we don't talk about is there is this population in, I work a lot in East
So
India.
Pallavi, you said vulnerability. Is it what kind of vulnerability is it? Is it economic vulnerability? Is it social, cultural, any other kind of vulnerability, or all of the above?
See, it's everything, but mostly economic. It's everything because, when you talk about, so for example, I'll tell you about the indigenous population or the population, the tribal population. They have been discriminated for years. We do not count them. If you talk with the country in general, they are always kept aloof from the country. So there is this inherent discrimination that's already they are facing. Along with that, the places where they come from, those places, they are in the fag end of our country. There is no access to electricity. There is no access to internet. I still remember, I'll tell you, still now there are schools in India where children sit in basta. Basta is the, this thing where, we keep rice grains. People still sit in that. There are no desks and chairs. And we are talking about digital India. We are talking about, laptops, iPads. These schools, there is this scheme of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, which the government of India has actually introduced. And in that, they have introduced this midday meal scheme only so that children don't drop out of schools. Now, I will tell you, in the midday meal schemes also, the midday meal that's provided to the children, if you go to the schools, you will be scared seeing the quality of the midday meal. They are generally told, there will be dal, there will be rice, there will be something. But when you go, you will see that, only water. There's complete water in the dal. So the quality of the food is so bad that it's impossible for any child to, the nutrition is not there. So definitely you cannot expect a child to, be healthy. That's one. Second, we have introduced Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. We have introduced midday meal schemes. But the schools that are there in these villages, they are 25, 30, 40, 50 kilometers away from their villages. Now tell me, is it possible for anyone to come from that far distance every day by walk? It is impossible. There are cycles given. It takes a long time to reach the school through cycles. Again, there is another problem of being, stalked, being raped, being abused, being attacked on the way from the school to the village, because those areas are not developed areas. Those are deserted areas. So that's a challenge. Then comes, the concept of toilets. In some of the schools, there are no separate toilets for boys and girls. So what happens? That also, once a girl attains puberty, she will stop going to school because she will be getting periods. There is this whole thing of taboo of, girls can't, sit in a desk or a chair or a bed. So that also comes. Another thing which I came to know yesterday, there was this parent who said that I don't want my daughter, she completed her 12th, that I don't want my daughter to go to a college. I was like, why? She was like, no, I know that if she goes to a college, she will fall in love and she will elope. So there is this mindset, deep ingrained mindset, that the girl will definitely fall in love and elope. What about the boy? So that is how I constantly see that how everything, social, there is this social mindset. Then there is this challenge of a girl and a boy, of course, which has been, we have been seeing it for decades. And economic inequality, where families feel that just getting a girl married, she's considered like a baggage, like the baggage which a coolie takes on his or her head, ki she's a baggage, and then we have to dispose her. I'll tell you a very small example of one of the girls I've rescued. She was 13. She was rescued from a red light area in India, and she was forced into prostitution for 2-3 months after her being trafficked. When I rescued her, I sent her to village. She became 13. The father, without telling me, got her married. I met her this time when I was in Bengal. Now she's 17. She has 2 children. The first child was born that very year, and the second child is also there. Imagine, they did not tell the boy, her groom, that she is a traffic survivor. The groom was absolutely someone who had no means of earning. Now they have 2 kids. The girl is 17. The groom does ganja. He does all this, charas and all of that. And now the girl is back to the village with the 2 children. And the trafficker is roaming all around. The trafficker had beaten up the girl's grandparents. And the girl is telling me that, Didi, what will I do? I told the father, why did you get her married? The father started telling me, I just wanted to get her married because I felt that, she's a baggage to me. I wanted to get rid of my responsibility. I was like, now there are 10%, there are 10 what? There are 500% chance for her to get trafficked more. He was like, why? I said, do you realize earlier she was alone? She was a single person whom you had to feed. Right now, she has two other individuals with her whom you have to feed. So what do? We decided, we bought her some goats, which she's planning to sell every few months, after which she will get 2,500 rupees. But does that sustain or guarantee her livelihood? She can't work anywhere else, of course, because she has two kids and she herself is malnourished. If you look at her, you will feel that she will collapse. So I think it is a mix of everything. It's like a vicious circle, spider's web, where everything is interdisciplinary, everything is interconnected.
And then if this is so multidisciplinary and so vicious, then is it possible to bring people out of it?
It is possible to bring people out of it. The only way is to upskill them, generate alternative livelihood to them. A lot of people keep telling me that we need to educate them, we need to ensure that they're in schools and colleges. But I am completely in favor of putting them in skills and colleges, but you have to understand whether all of them will be eligible to get jobs, because we as a country, we know that the number of jobs that's in our country is very, very less. And the places from where they come, there will be only government jobs. They are not at all comfortable coming to cities like, metro cities, like whether you say Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, any Hyderabad, Pune, they will not be comfortable. The reason is that one is the constant fear, because they were already trafficked and they were they were in any of the cities. One. Second is the culture, language. The culture and the language from where they come is very different. In India, if we cover 10 to 20 kilometers, there's a different culture. There is a different language. So there is a different dress code. So that is one thing. So what the main thing should be to give them some kind of livelihood, give them some kind of upskilling, and giving them livelihood in things which is available in their local area, in their local villages. Because if I'm going to upskill someone in Bihar, giving them to make or create products which will be sent from South or Bangalore, a lot of money will go, in procuring those products. So it's important to understand what is available in their own village and what they should do so that it can be sold. Now I'll tell you something backfired. What happened? Some of my girls were given classes and training in baking. Some of them were given classes in, makeup, all this cosmetic. Now tell me something, the village from where these girls come, who will buy a cake for 600 rupees? These people, they work for three days and get 50 to 60 rupees. Some of my girls even get 10 rupees per day for putting this, glass on saris. When you are talking about poverty of that extent, where people are living under tarpaulin, people don't have clean drinking water. The water is mud water. How do you think that if you give them skills of baking and cosmetics, they will be able to earn a livelihood? Just giving skills doesn't help, because that skill has to be implemented in that particular village and livelihood has to be generated. So it doesn't work. So these things, I think we have to realize. We can't just keep ticking boxes like, okay, skills dena hai, so let's give this skill, that skill. So this is a challenge. This is one of the main reasons, so much of trafficking is still happening. And another thing, the traffickers get 50 to 60,000 for selling one girl. That is a solid money. That's a lot of money. Now imagine, in a country like India, initial salaries of everyone, except the fact that somebody is an engineer or a doctor, it's hardly 20 to 25,000. When you are not doing any work, you are just luring a person, and you have not even seen the exploitation. You are luring a person, you are just sending a person to some place and you are getting 50,000, which is easy money. Why would you like to work for a month and get 20, 25,000? So this is also a question that we need to address. So we don't talk about it. Also, there are no convictions. I have traffickers from villages who have trafficked 11 girls from one village to like trafficker is roaming in the village as if he has not done anything, and the girl is in constant fear. When there is no conviction for a crime, for an offense as huge as trafficking, then if I know that I've stolen something and I'm not going to get punished, and I've been stealing things for years, then that fear also goes away, right? So this is also a big problem, and you can't blame the judiciary completely for it, because there is this less number of judges. The judiciary is understaffed. Indian police system is understaffed, and also there is this problem of not reporting. If a person is trafficked, the reporting goes as always as missing cases, elopement cases, child marriage cases. So, and when the girl is received back, we go for something known as procedural correction, where we try to do this thing of where we do this continuously, this thing of changing or improvising the section of IPC. Like if it is a missing case, there will be a different section, and then when you go for procedural correction, we kind of go to change the law, the section. So I think there are many problems like this, and these are so deep rooted that unless and until I go with this approach of, you have to make the village empowered, because just the government intervention doesn't help. The government is sitting in the center, there are states. See, we are always questioning the government, which is absolutely true, because we vote. India is a democracy, but at the same time we need to be empowered ourselves. Now, if the village is empowered, if the village maintains things, like I do some of the things that I have been doing is that creating anti-human trafficking clubs in villages, creating village response committees. Like when you talk about village response committees, it's like committees which keeps a tab on who is going out of the village, to which city, what is the amount he or she is getting, is the person calling every week at home, if she is not calling, telling the police that this person has gone to Delhi in the house of this person. So this is one way of tracking. So things like this you need to have, having constant awareness. And when you talk about awareness, no, not having awareness as conferences, symposiums like this, having awareness like the way you and me are talking in this session. Every individual needs to be aware. Every individual needs to stand up against it. If people think that we are activists, we are social workers, we will only do having conversations, symposiums and conferences in closed doors in big hotels with people who already know about the topic, nothing will happen. So I have started this approach of going all out. You talk to taxi drivers, coolies, you talk to everybody, so that people are aware, people know. And every time, you don't have to come in front. You can be anonymous. You can just make a call. You can just inform somebody who is who is in power, or whom will do something about it. I think that goes a long way about it.
So Pallavi, this is a very deep-seated problem, as we had discussed earlier also, and you just shed so much light on this. How do you think technology can come? So some of the solutions that we have written over here, upskilling, job vocations, I think there are platforms, but then again, as you said, there are big challenges. Just upskilling will not help you. Then systemic nutrition and health ecosystems, empowering the villages, village response committees, anti-human trafficking clubs. These are amazing initiatives. How can technology be inculcated over here, or incorporated over here, in order to make these solutions scalable, make these solutions more effective and transparent?
So one thing that I was thinking, because with technology, trafficking is increasing a lot. Right now, there are traffickers making transactions and payments through Google Pay. Google Pay may they buy a girl. With technology, the challenge that we are having is that people lure girls through Instagram now, through Facebook, and they immediately delete the account. You cannot find the person with the IP address also. Nowadays, one challenge that I have seen is that if you have an ID, with one ID, you can get it. It varies from state to state. If you have one ID, with one ID, you can get 8 SIM cards. So one call, they break the SIM. So, there are different ways how technology has increased this problem. And with dark web, there is no way you can trace them. So I think one thing that people who are involved in, technology can do is that, you have to constantly do gatekeeping. Like I personally feel, especially if you talk about Facebook, I'll tell you something had happened with me. So how sad it is. Like 3-4 months back, I was being constantly threatened and harassed in Facebook. Now I'd reached out to somebody in US working in Facebook in a very senior position. He reached out to me after, it is not his fault. After 1 month, he reached out to me, and it seems I was told that this doesn't go against community standards. So if we are telling that technology is so fast, then this online harassing and online bullying, nobody keeps a tab. You talk about cyber safety in our country. There is no safety in cyber safety. You file a complaint, they will take months to do intervention. So I think it's very important to be ourselves. We should be upskilled, like all of us who are into this what you call technology, like all of this who are in Google, Facebook, or where, they should keep try to understand one thing. I still remember in US there was something what they used to do. I think if we can replicate in India, it would be very good. Where if a trafficker, if a I won't say a convicted trafficker, whatever, a convicted trafficker, assumed trafficker, or assumed predator is in an area, then there is this signal that's constantly been told in the area. So if we can come up with this, because in India there is no other way to find out. There are traffickers, they are out in bail, again they are trafficking girls. So nobody helps. So if we can make a database of who are the state-wise through technology of who are the probable traffickers, which are the first is to find out which is the most vulnerable area from where trafficking is happening. For example, if you talk Bihar, Jharkhand, of course, there are Simdega, there is Kuti, there is all these places. In Bengal, there is South 24 Parganas, North 24 Parganas. In Assam, there are, Arunachal, there is BTR, Bodoland Territorial Region. If we can, first of all, through technology, make a detail of that area, of the certain area from where trafficking is happening. What are the reasons for trafficking happening? Which are the categories who are constantly being trafficked? What is the age group of the girls or the boys who are getting trafficked? Which is the route through which they are being taken to metro cities, trains or what? What time do those trains go? These are the ways technologies can really help, because it's very fast. And if they're reaching in Delhi, Bombay, which station are they reaching? Because in every railway stations, there is General Railway Police, there is Railway Protection Police. So I think if the more we make it, it accessible to common people, that is how we can intervene. I think technology can really help this finding routes, finding the areas, telling the person that this train is coming, because it is very easy to identify traffickers, because girls will always be scared, girls will not talk. So I think this way technology can help. And like anybody and everybody is opening Instagram. I don't know how to, I am no one, I am not a specialized person in technology, so I can't give any idea. But the highest number of trafficking is happening through, earlier it was TikTok, but TikTok is banned in India, but it's Instagram, Facebook. One of the girl from Bangladesh has been trafficked from Facebook. I rescued her. She is in South India now, and we are not able to send her back home because of the country, both the country issues, because she doesn't have a valid passport. So I think it's very important to monitor the social media sites. I am not someone who can give a clear, information about it, but these sites like Discord, one of the girl I rescued was trafficked through Discord. She started talking to somebody who was unknown. So I think this is one thing. And now mobiles, everybody has mobiles. Everybody has mobiles. Yesterday I saw somebody who was just 4 months, mobile was given to that child. So, human interaction has become less. Our life is, ruled by this mobile. Since mobile, I'll tell you, when I started doing all this work in 2011, I had still hopes, despite the number of trafficking being so high. Right now, there are so many schemes, there are so many funds being allocated for traffic survivors, there is victim compensation being allocated, there is something known as Swayam Siddha that was by the Bengal government. But the problem is that nothing is in control. Everything has gone out of control because of mobile. There are villages where there is no electricity, but still there is a mobile. You can get a SIM. And with Geo, it has become really like the problem has gone all out. It is so easy to get a SIM. So I think the more, and we don't educate people on technology. We just say the, good things that will come out of technology. We never show the bad sides of a technology. So I think some of this, if we could, like monitor. If parents could talk in schools, we do so many things. Like one thing I think the schools need to do is that I remember going to a very good school in Bangalore, talking to them about this technology thing, and the principal of the school was telling me, you should not tell all this to my students because this doesn't happen in my schools. I didn't talk. When I came out after 2 days, one teacher from the school called me and told me how she got a call, video call in her phone, and she picked up the call and somebody showed her something. The phone got disconnected. After 3 days, she was told that, that person has recorded her video and demanding 5 lakh rupees. So conversations, schools and colleges have this ostrich approach, I am in a protected environment. This doesn't happen in my school. And that is where it happens more. So I think all of us think that, talk about anything, trafficking, abuse, violence, prevention of sexual harassment. We just think that it happens in lower class, in uneducated people, poor people. Absolutely false. It happens to everybody, everywhere. It is just that we don't talk about it because of, shame or taboo or stigma. I think we need to talk about it. And because you work so much with schools and colleges, I think one thing we need to constantly tell our children and our students about the bad effects of mobile. But I have never gone to any school and told them not to use mobile. A lot of schools told me, tell children not to use mobiles. The more you will tell a person to be away from a certain thing, the more will that person be addicted or attracted to. I think that is not the approach. You need to clearly talk about things like the way, like, for example, we don't talk about sex education, we don't talk about reproduction in our school, menstruation in our schools. So the same way we don't talk about these issues. I think it's very important to talk about these issues.
And ma'am, I had another question that are there helplines for people who want to reach out or they want help, if they want to reach out to people ki, okay, I am in a wrong place and I want to get out? Are the helplines helping?
See, there used to be 1089, which is 1098, which was a childline number where anybody who faces any crisis can be helped by the person in that particular area, and your name will also be kept anonymous. That's there. Apart from that, what I've started doing is that, you see, there is this constant fear that police will harm you. Of course, there are reasons for it. So that mindset has to be changed. You reach police. It is because the police is bound to help you. He is in uniform, and you see what we know. You will forget, being in a country like India, because it's a democratic country, we are the people, we elect, we pay taxes. So we forget that we need to, we can reach police. Police has to lodge an FIR. I've been going and telling in villages, they're like, when we go to the police stations, they throw us out. How can they throw you out? Most people in our country do not know laws.
Yes.
That's a big problem. And there is another problem also. The way you report, you will be shamed. So narratives has to be changed. The narrative is that, she was raped, he was raped. It should be they raped her. Focus has to change. So I think narrative reporting, sensitive. The other day I had taken a session with students from Jamia in Jamia. It was like, sensitive reporting is not there. It's all sensationalism. That you have to get rid of. You have to tell children one by one, then they can reach people in their own area. You see, there are so many counselors in schools. All the IB schools have counselors. Now, a lot of people think that counselors are only about careers. No, there are counselors of whom you can talk about if you're feeling like a lot of children, they feel suicidal for whatever reasons. They should reach to counsel. Think helpline. There are helplines everywhere. If you talk about Government of India, of course, there is 1098, there is 1098. Different states have different helplines. I can share some of them post the session. The main thing is, you should know that there is somebody to help you. That thing people don't know. We can reach police stations anytime, Women should know that if a police constable doesn't come, and if a male constable comes to arrest her, she will not go because there is no women constable. That she should know. That is very important. You cannot keep a woman in a police station after dark. Post afternoon, late afternoon, you cannot keep a woman in a police station. There are a lot of things that people don't know. That has to be constantly told to people. If a child has committed a crime, the person, like juvenile in conflict with law, if there's a juvenile who has done a crime, there has to be a juvenile welfare officers in civil uniform who has to come and take the child. If someone who is in a uniform has come, that is against law. So, all these things, basic laws, I'm not telling you like real big laws. Basic laws as needs to be conveyed in schools. We do so many sessions in schools, right? On disaster management, on career counseling. I think we need to also do legal awareness, basic legal awareness. I'm not telling about like big helpline numbers they can reach out to. That is very important. And putting the boy and a girl in the workshops, in the sessions. Gender workshops, no boy. I see. There is no boy. Why? Why will you not keep a boy in a gender awareness workshop? Another thing, girls don't talk to their fathers about issues. Why this shy? Because this is very not. So there is this constant misogyny that is there. There is this patriarchal mindset. And I tell you, a lot of people say men are bad. Of course, there's a lot of violence that has happened with women over the years, which has been done by man, inflicted by man. But there are good men also. I will tell you, all the forced marriage rescue operations that have gone, men have abused me, of course, but women have beaten me up. So I'll tell you, when you talk about patriarchy is a mindset. Do not say that men promote patriarchy. Women equally promote patriarchy. So that mindset has to change, that, men are villains, women are good. At times, women can be villains, men can be good. So I think mindset shift is a very important thing. That is what I would say.
Yeah. So one thing that I've understood, Pallavi, is that there has to be constant and consistent efforts towards creating multiple types of awareness. We had Bharat Nayak also a few weeks ago, and he was talking about media literacy. How consistently we have to, and he works with a lot of rural areas in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Bihar, and he shared similar things over there. So, do you think is it possible to do this? First of all, do this. Secondly, if somebody has to be present to do this, can it be a hybrid kind of a setup? Or somebody has to be there in person? Which one do you think is more effective, and why? I mean, I understand you already try to empower villages so that they take care of this, but till the time they actually start doing this, they understand the importance of this, they might not do it. Why I'm saying this is because last session we had Manu Oberoi from Sanji Sikya in Punjab, and they are trying to empower rural education ecosystems. Now everyone understands the theory, everyone knows that this is what has to be done, but nobody is able to do it. So they have been facilitating these conversations wherein the panchayat, the local community, takes ownership of schools. So do you think there are people who are already doing this? There are NGOs, non-profits already doing this. What kind of help do they need? So I know a bunch of questions, but let me know which ones did you catch, and I'll repeat the rest.
See, I think the first thing is for collaborations. That is very important. That is what a lot of people don't do. It is not possible for only one NGO or one government to do it. I think we all work in silos. That's the biggest problem. And yeah, what this Saji Sakya, like what they are doing, I think like we all need to come together. Both model works, whether you talk about hybrid, whether you talk about in person, we have to make everybody accountable and responsible. For example, if you're talking about a village, now I want to do something in a village. My NGO is doing the event, coming from the village. Doesn't help, because I will go once in 6 months or once in a month. We have to include somebody from that village, give that person that responsibility, that accountability, that this is what you need to do when I am not there. So I think we have to keep every stakeholder a part of it, whether it is government, whether it is local NGO, whether it is people from the village. And things, if you include villagers, no, it really helps, I tell you, because you cannot just think of change only by having non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, because they are people who again have a lot of other works also. Awareness is one part of their work. There are other works also there. If you tell the importance of safety to a villager, you need to keep your house. I think one thing that we need to talk is that first keep your house safe. Then you keep your, locality safe. Then only you can keep your village and country safe. This whole thing of keeping your house safe is only we don't talk about. We don't talk about, I remember talking to children and they're like, my father only abuses me, or my brother abuses me. One boy told me that her aunt used to abuse him when he used to be given bath. So that thing, that whether whoever is it, whether it is your father, mother, anybody, A perpetrator is a perpetrator. That thing you need to give. Just because if the person is a very close associate of you, you will forgive him. And if he's an outsider, you will file a case against him. That is also a problem. Then the person will constantly think that, I will not tell anything. So I think very important approach is that please collaborate. Everybody who are working in the have a network. I had already given this suggestion that there is no need for everybody to have NGOs everywhere. No, somebody is working in Delhi. Well, please work in Delhi. The person who is not working in Delhi can help in upskilling, supporting, assisting. Because what happens? I'll tell you in trafficking. There are hundreds of NGOs working in hundreds of places. Still, many cases we are not able to find the survivors. The problem is that this is my case, this is your case, this only happens. This is not my jurisdiction, this is your jurisdiction. If somebody sitting in somewhere in Assam says that, okay, fine, we need to find the girl. Whoever finds the girls, the girl is to be found out. And there is a network. Like this NGO is telling the other NGO is telling the police. Immediately I tell you, the girl will be found out. But this whole thing of my case, his case, this case, everybody is, once the girl is everybody is getting into newspapers. So I think that approach has to change. If you really want change to happen, you have to collaborate. You have to think of sharing both. As you said, I remember once Saurabh told me, I was searching for a co-founder and he had given me a very good advice, which I still remember till now. That is, if you're looking for a co-founder, you have to always ensure that your so-called fame and name and everything is shared with that person. So I think NGOs also have to think about this. Government also has to think about it, that you have to share everything, plus, minus, both. So I think that part, if you think about, trust me, working 12 years in the sector, I personally feel that if we had done collaborations, if we had everybody had worked hand in hand with each other, the crime would have gone down drastically. This is my belief. I personally feel that. And I feel that absolutely. If everybody...
So Pallabi, I mean, there is something very magical, which is just, I think has come out of this. You said collaboration and everybody needs to get involved, right? Now we know India is the NGO capital of the world, which means we have the maximum number of NGOs in the world. We probably have, there was a statistic given to me by Harshita Suneja, who worked with a couple of NGOs for raising funds. And she said there were more NGOs per person in India than there were doctors or healthcare facilities, right? So what are those NGOs doing? Well, that is very subjective because nobody can quantify or qualify that, and we should not even try doing that. But the thing is that there are NGOs and there are people who have gained the trust of that local community. They might be working against trafficking or education or plastic pollution or clean water initiatives or something else. But they have gained the trust of the community and they know that there is not one single problem. Like if you take, the challenge of plastic pollution, there is lack of awareness there. There's lack of, technology awareness, media awareness, and so on. Similar problems which you are also identifying, right? Now, is it possible to, kind of create that collective, that boss, if you see something like this happening, please connect with me because this is trafficking. And on the same side, if you, being a, anti-trafficking NGO, if you see people polluting rivers, then you, mention that directly to those NGOs. Correct? Do you think that such a thing is possible? Because I know all the work that you're doing makes you extremely busy. So do you think such a collaboration?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what I've done now. I work very remotely in Bengal. Okay. Now I'll tell you an instance. What used to happen when I started working in Bengal earlier, I used to do interventions myself. Right now, there are some organizations. See, there is this fear of collaborations because, visions don't match. There are a lot of inhibitions that have people after a point of time want to take credit. So a lot of people don't want to collaborate. But, you need to find that one person or one organization or two organizations who will be able to do the work on ground. Collaborations has really helped me. I tell you, because, what happens, because that person is there. If there is any crisis, that person can immediately reach. You might take some time to reach. So I personally feel that, you need to have an MOU, like memorandum of understanding. I don't say contract, because contract will again, make people scared because they think like, oh my God, some big legal word. Have a memorandum of understanding. Okay, this is where this organization is contributing. This is what this organization is contributing. For example, if there are two organizations, if one organization is funding doing everything, funding, getting everything, it should be clearly written that this organization is doing funding and everything. The other organization is overseeing it. So that this is where both the organizations will be benefited. I personally feel, and this has worked for me. I know that it is not possible for me, like me or you, for us to go everywhere. So we can have collectives, but we have to ensure that the collective is proactive. Because I have been part of thousands of collectives, and most of the collectives, they open with a lot of momentum and lot of vision, but they fizzle out. You will see some people in the collective working crazy and the other not working. I won't blame the others who are not working. I feel they are demotivated. There is a lack of motivation. Also, there is no rewards. I'll tell you very honestly. I will tell you very honestly, Saurabh, whatever you do, you need to be compensated for it. If you are not compensated, it can be fame, it can be money, it can be a reward, it can be telling your name in the newspaper. If you don't do this, people will not. Because what is it important? Why? And this whole concept, yesterday also somebody was telling me, neki karo, darya mein dalo. It is a very good to hear as a lecture. बहुत सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, but in reality it is not. Why will the person take his or her life, stay in those areas when he or she is not getting anything out of it? So I think that is very important.
Absolutely. I mean, this is exactly why I asked this question, because I know there have been, this is not an original idea that we're talking about. People must be trying to collaborate since ages, but then why are those collaborations not delivering the results, right? And of course, incentives and motivations need to be aligned in order to do this. Now, slightly off tangent, Pallabi, but I would love to, hear your perspective on this. See, the world is moving towards a stage where there are less and less human jobs available. By 2030, there will be lesser jobs. By 2040, there will be even lesser jobs, and so on and so forth. Why? Because machines and robots will take over everything that we want them to take over. What will be humans doing? And I've been talking about this on various forums, and I've been telling people that humans will do those things that only humans can do, because the robot cannot understand the nuances of an anti-trafficking ecosystem, right? So more and more people have to do these things in order to keep themselves and their communities safe. So do you think that the NGO sector per se, or people who are creating impact or working towards creating impact, that sector is supposed to grow to such an extent that there will be more people employed and absorbed in that sector?
Yeah, absolutely. You see, because as you said, robots can do things, technology like chat GPT will be giving you content, everything. So there are certain things that robots can't do. I'm like, you were talking about going to a village or giving that sense of, consoling, or maybe talking to the villager. That a robot can't do. That feelings that robot can't do. Talking to people, find out information that robots can't do. So I think, of course, the social impact sector will grow leaps and bounds, provided which are the different areas of work you do. Because right now what is happening, a lot of funding is being received by digital education, AI, artificial intelligence, then you see STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But believe me, I'll tell you, after a point of time, everything will be done by robots. Everything. You see how AI, like for example, a child was telling me in the village when I was in Bengal 3 days back. He was telling me, Didi, whatever I see in the mobile, they are showing me the same. Like if he was not understanding AI, basically, according to him, he was seeing some cars and they were showing him only advertisements of cars. So you see, these village people have also started understanding. Maybe they don't understand AI. So I personally feel that, it's very important to have that entrepreneurial mindset. And if possible, people should try to come up with new ideas and how they can, give livelihood. Because I'll tell you, livelihood is one way. India will never, it is not, I won't say never, I don't want to be negative, but India will take, I don't know how many decades to get out of this poverty like thing. So I think anyone who works in the social impact sector should really take it seriously, because the social impact sector will really boom. That's my thought. But again, you never know.
No, I completely resonate with that. So when I write this, solutions will come from the bottom up. right? Do you agree with that? Because we talked about centralization
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely.
other
The
areas.
bottom-up approach has to be followed. You cannot go more in top-down approach. I'll tell you an example. Earlier, funders used to fund NGOs who were in Delhi, Bombay,
Hmm.
and the money used to come into that big NGO's account, and the NGO used to filter out 1%, 2% to ground NGOs.
Hmm.
Now they want to get rid of this middlemen or middle women or middle gender, whatever. They want to directly work with people who are working in grassroots.
Hmm.
So you see that, so that is a bottom-up approach, na? You are empowering the community. You are working in the rural area where there is no roads, where there is no electricity. So bottom-up approach is the only way that will sustain. Top-down approach will not sustain. That is not sustainable. That might sustain now in for the next 5-6 years, but post 2030 thing, I think that will completely fizzle out.
Right. So this is what I understand, because we've reached the last, and again, wonderful conversation, Pallavi. I mean, we don't really know when the time flies when you're talking such with such passion and fervor. What I've understood so far is, and Ritisha, please feel free to chip in as well, that we need to work from the bottom up. We need a lot of social entrepreneurs who need to do a lot of things, which can be around creating awareness, or identifying vulnerable areas, keeping people informed, creating communities, and so on. But at the same time, we need to ensure their own safety, their own validity, make sure that people are supportive, communities are supportive, and not when because there are things going to become really bad. And you were just telling us how you keep getting a lot of threats, especially after some of your features in media have gone viral. So there needs to be a community which protects you also, right, as an
Yeah,
activist.
absolutely.
Otherwise
See,
you will not.
maintaining, I am telling everybody, please maintain anonymity. Everybody, whoever is listening to me, if you are reporting anything, please maintain anonymity. A lot of times you don't want to come ahead because of the fear that, you will be killed. I have seen multiple hit and run cases because I always come from rescues at night where people are lying down on the road, but nobody is helping because of police ka jhanjat. And of course, in that police is equally responsible because police is like, आपको बार बार आना पड़ेगा थाने में, आपको ये करना पड़ेगा, वो करना पड़ेगा. So the fact that you don't want to file an FIR because there is this thought, you have to go to the police station and it will be in hassle. So I think that mentality we need to change. If something has happened with you, somebody has wronged with you, and yes, the process of justice in our country. 10 years, again, December, I'm going for a witness. January, I'm going for a witness. 10 years ago, I rescued those girls, rescued those boys. So I'm telling that, it's very important. And if the justice system could come up with something like you and me are talking online, because what happens, a crime has happened in one place, and the person who has been, victim is from another state. The person forgets the crime. It takes years for that person to come and depose. That's a problem. One. Second, when the crime had happened, the person was in another state, knowing another language of that state. But after 5-10 years, memory, we forget. What has happened today, I'll keep forgetting tomorrow. So like that, the person forgets. You call the person again and again, she's talking in a different language. That's a problem. Also, a lot of people say that the judges, they do not give justice. I won't say that. Judges do give justice. The problem is that in India, judges who sit in, the district courts, there, how much are they safe is a question we need to ask ourselves. High court judges get safety. District court judges don't get safety. So that is also another reason. I have heard district court judges getting threatened. I've heard district judges getting attacked. So we have to be mindful about everything. If you're talking about, safety of social workers, safety of activists, if you're talking about safety of VIPs, what about safety of people who are trying to give us justice? That is one. Second is that there are multiple loopholes that in the system that we need to actually challenge about. We are saying our country is developed, but we will see. If you reporting, look at NCRB, no reporting. National Crime Records Bureau cannot be trusted at all. There is zeros reporting in that database. This is the only accessible database of our country. No. The other day I saw a report where it was written that Kolkata is one of the safest cities in the world, in the country, and people were clapping over it. But I have got so many cases. I get so many cases almost every single day from the state. So it's like, you have to go much more deeper inside. Reporting change is very important. I think we are talking about the three things of the Indian government: legislature, judiciary, and bureaucrats. I think if three of them work hand in hand, I think a lot of change can happen.
Amazing. Pallabi, this has been an awakening conversation, to say the least, right? And thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule. I know you are just running from pillar to post to just do some of the things that you are doing, and it's an inspirational journey that I follow very closely on social media, and I hope people who are watching this, they also follow what you do and support you in any which way. Pallabi recently concluded weddings of a lot of human trafficking victims. Pallabi, do share a little bit about that, because there is that part of the celebration of the work that you do, and how it comes about. So do tell us a little bit about that also towards the conclusion.
So there was this girl who was trafficked 5 years back, and it was a very sad situation. See, we talk about poverty being a reason for trafficking. In this case, it was very different. This girl, her father is an alcoholic, her brothers are violent, so she had a family, very bad family environment. So she ended up falling in love with a boy over phone 5 years back. The boy um, called five of his friends. Six of them raped her. Imagine a 15-year-old girl. And then she ran away. She went to report to some authority who also raped her. And then she ran to some other place from where she was kept in a home for home-based prostitution for a month or so. And then we had gotten information. We went to rescue her. After a lot of hassle, we rescued her. And then we wanted to upskill her. Of course, she completed her 12th and everything. And we were looking for a groom for her. See, honestly, I am very much against marriage because I feel a woman has to be empowered and financially independent before getting married. But in this case, it was very difficult because she was doing something, but the environment where she was staying had a lot of challenges. Finally, we found a guy after so much. And I told the boy, because all my survivors who have been married, they never tell the boy. The boy gets to know, the boy feels cheated. He gives divorce and leaves her. So I did not want that. I met multiple guys. Finally, I met this guy. I told him very clearly about the story and whether he's fine with it. Of course, the guy's family doesn't know because family will not allow. The guy agreed, and the marriage was actually yesterday. So it was like and the marriage got fixed when I was in Himachal. Imagine, when I was in Himachal, the marriage got fixed. I have been trying some part of the marriage. Me and my husband took care of it. Rest, it is such a good feeling for me that every single thing, apart from some of the except the venue and the caterer, everything was taken care by people. The way people sent things, like whatever, whether it be saris, utensils, like this shows that, good people are there. It is just that, they need to trust you. You need to be, as NGOs, I'm telling you, I am running a not-for-profit for the last 2.5 years. I have been able to run this not-for-profit only because of individual sponsors. And that is because they trusted me, and that is because I am transparent. There is this constant mindset that, people are not good. No, people are good. But they need to trust your work and you need to be transparent. There are NGOs, and a lot of people blame the government of India for being so strict, but there are reasons for the government to be so strict. So I think it was a good feeling. We could get the girl married. She left today. It was really a good feeling. So yeah, I think we all have to have a dignified life. It doesn't matter. I personally feel, Saurabh, if I tell you, if I was kept in that part of India, I would also be trafficked. When you see nothing, when you see only water and a tarpaulin, the hope of a better life will end up in getting you trafficked. That's what I feel. So I don't blame anyone. I feel like, I'm privileged and I should be grateful for what I have. Whenever people complain to me, I'm like, you please come with me and stay with me in the source areas. Then you will realize how difficult life is.
True. So true. Thank you so much, Pallabi, for taking out time. And for everyone who's watching or will be watching this, tomorrow is Human Rights Day, 10th of December, if I'm not mistaken. And I hope you do deep reflections around this. And if you are interested in doing something about it using technology, please watch this session again and again. We will share the notes. We have now started creating blog posts around the conversations that we have using an AI summary tool. So that makes our job easier. As I said, this is something that Ritisha and I, Mahesh and Yashmit, we just do because we are also passionate about it. There is no funding around it. So we are able to do these things. And if you want to join us, support us, we'll share the links how you can do that. It was great having you here, Pallavi. Anything that you would like to say before we conclude today's conversation?
I would say that everybody who is watching Saurav's show, please watch his shows. He does a lot of research and everything to organize this show. It's not just making a poster, it's a lot of research and a lot of effort goes behind it. I don't know if people should contribute, how people should contribute to Saurabh, but I think please do contribute to Such Conversations Matter. He has started something new also. Because you know why, I'll tell you, because if you contribute, perhaps if you contribute to anyone who you believe in, the person gets more motivated, because we are all entrepreneurs. These are all self-funded things. And there is a point where we can't even spend our savings because our savings are over. So I think so, please, if anybody is watching, I have known Saurabh. I have not met Saurabh ever. Every time we plan to meet, I have not met Saurabh. 3 years I have known Saurabh, 3 or 4 years. He has been doing great work. Please support him. I would say fundraising is a very important thing. He is shy, he won't say, but please support him whatever you can. Please contribute. We spend so much of money doing unnecessary things. Why not contribute in something which is making some difference in people's lives?
Thank you so much, Pallavi. I am very shy. In fact, the other day, somebody was asking me, how many subscribers do you have on YouTube? I said, I don't know, less than 700. He said, do you say like and subscribe at the end of every video? I said, no.
And marketing, and everybody please like and subscribe, because you will get good content out of seeing Saurav's sessions. So I think that is what we subscribe to content that's bizarre, but we don't subscribe to contents that actually are good content. I think that's why you should like and subscribe to the Saurav's. I think it's Such Conversations Matter, right?
Yeah, it is. So this is open source mentorship is part of Such Conversations Matter. Such Conversations was about talking about things, but this is actually about doing things around those conversations as well. So I'm always biased towards action, and that's what I recommend to all my mentees. Pallavi, thank you so much. It was a pleasure
Thank you,
having
Saurabh.
you here. We'll quickly switch off the YouTube, and then we'll have a small conversation if you have time left. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and have a great